Hey everyone, Happy New Year. I know it's been a long time since I've posted any videos, and I am so glad to be back with you all. Thank you for joining me for this video today. I am really excited to share it with you because I am going to be sharing my interview with Jimmy Turbo. Now, for those of you who don't know who he was listed under the professionals category of Atlas Trading when the Discord closed. And he has been a member of Atlas since its very beginnings. So he agreed to sit down with me and answer some pretty tough questions and talk about his experience, what he saw, and what he heard. Now, before we get into that interview, just a couple of quick things. First of all, don't forget to subscribe and keep your notifications on. That way you are notified of new videos as soon as they air. Secondly, this is an audio-only interview, so there will be no video playing. As soon as I start the interview, you will see the screen go black. And lastly, we had pre-recorded this interview and I had forgotten to ask him one of the questions. So I did message him after that and he graciously answered it via message. So I'm going to read to you that question and answer right now. My question was, did any member of Atlas ever reach out to you or someone you know to participate in purchasing or promoting a stock? His answer was, no, I was never asked to promote a stock or product at all. Anything I called out or expressed opinions on were my own ideas. I think it's why I had some pretty esoteric type trades, such as my Eurodollar futures short trade from 2021. As for other people promoting any stocks, I was not made aware. All right, so there you have it. Again, thank you so much for joining me for this interview. And again, thank you, Jimmy, for agreeing to sit down and speak with me. It's the first time anyone's ever had a chance so far to speak with one of the longtime members of Atlas after the indictment has come out. All right, guys, enjoy. All right. So thank you so much for agreeing to come on and talk with me today. I don't know if you've been getting a ton of messages with people asking your
Uh,
opinion.
yeah. Everybody in Atlas seems to be like, oh, hey, do you know where of another room I can go join? I feel almost um, like a refugee director. I mean, maybe that's the wrong term to use, but uh, there's been a lot of people just like I don't know where to go, and I've just been directing people to different places. So
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's the groups combined between Atlas and Sapphire had hundreds of thousands of members, and all of a sudden they don't know where to go.
exactly, it's kind of sad.
Yeah. And so so you were in Atlas up until they closed it, or had you left prior?
No. I joined Atlas in 2018. I believe it was in March, April, something like that, 2018, and I've been in it till basically the end when I'm not sure if PJ shut everything down
Mm-hmm.
or just booted everybody. But up until everybody was forced out.
Mm-hmm. And prior to it fully closing, I mean, did you guys have any warning that it was getting shut down, or was it just completely out of the blue?
No. Although I guess a reasonable person could think that, oh, all this is happening. He's under investigation. He's been arrested by the federal agents, Texas Rangers or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, I think a reasonable person could think just his legal team would just advise shut everything down.
Right. No, of course. I mean, I think that makes sense. I just didn't know if you guys had any kind of formal warning before all of a sudden you woke up and it was gone. Um, I
It
bet.
was it was it was funny actually. I was
Mm-hmm.
at work. I was on a Discord kind of chat while at work. I had no idea any of this was happening. I thought, well, I'll catch up when I get back from work.
Mm-hmm.
back home. And by the time I got home, it was all locked down.
Oh, okay. And you said that you joined March of 2018, so that was really kind of the beginning of Atlas, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah, there was less than 1,500 people in there. I
Oh, wow.
distinctly remember.
And how did you hear about it at first?
Well, I was in Normac Newell. That's
Okay.
Cam Newell's room.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, and I remember seeing Chart Wars and Ripster and PJ and a bunch of others in there. Um, I originally found out about that room from PJ on StockTwits
Oh, okay.
way back when. I think it was late 2017 or early 2018.
Mm-hmm. And when you joined, was it a similar atmosphere to how it was before it closed down, or did you see a lot of changes over the years?
There was a lot of changes over the years. The biggest for me was just the size. It felt
Mm-hmm.
very intimate at the beginning with less than 1,500 people. And there, I'm trying to remember now. It's 5 years almost.
Mm-hmm.
It was there were only a few rooms. Like there wasn't like there was large caps, there was the small caps, and you didn't have any locked rooms.
Mm-hmm.
There was admin rooms, of course, right? But
Right.
you didn't have like um, any hidden rooms or anything like that, or like how we had just prior to everything being disappeared. We had like um, large cap trading floor where I would post my daily data. That was locked,
Mm-hmm.
right? But in the past, something like that wasn't. There wasn't rooms like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh
Go
no,
ahead.
it's okay. I was just gonna ask before I forgot. So you said everyone was in, including yourself, in this in Cameron's chat room, and then I guess a group of the guys decided to start a new chat room. Do you know why that happened and kind of what made you decide to leave his room and head over with these guys? Did you kind of like their trading style?
Well, okay. So what? Like I was playing small caps at the time. That's what I started with
Mm-hmm.
when I first started actively trading. I've been trading, I guess you could say, since 2002. But I got into the active trading in 2017, and small caps was basically my thing at the time. And to be completely honest, I'm garbage at them. This is why I don't trade small caps anymore. But um, PJ in particular had some pretty good call outs.
Mm-hmm.
Like the reason I started following him on StockTwits originally and then followed him in a Normac was because he always had a scanner that was up. He would post this is what's hot this morning. This is what's down like a whole ton this morning. Well, just like a basic like a watch list of like what's hot and what's not.
Mm-hmm.
And I found that being a fairly brand new day trader, I found that really really valuable.
Right.
So I saw one day he posted a link to that group, and I'm like, okay, sure, I'll check it out. So I met Haggy was in there, um, Chart Wars, Cam obviously it was his room,
Mm-hmm.
um, PJ, Ripster. There was a ton of people. Emperor Trades I believe was in there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, And when they decided to leave, it was over. And PJ's talked about this publicly before. It was over the Cam's idea of changing the room structure from being a free room to a paid room. And those guys really disagreed with that. So they decided, okay, you know what? We don't want to be a part of this. Let's go start Atlas.
Mm-hmm.
And and then I followed about a week after that departure because I'm like, where did everybody go? And then I think I asked Haggy specifically, like, where is everybody? I don't see you posting anymore. You guys have
Mhm.
some pretty great calls, right? And then I was invited into Atlas.
Mhm. So in the early days, then it sounds like it was a really helpful resource, and there weren't like any accusations of illegal activity going on or anything like that. You're saying it was really just a helpful
It
like
was it
group
was it was a
resource.
yeah, it was a great resource. The
Mhm.
Ripster had posted all of his educational materials,
Mhm.
and PJ really encouraged people to like seek out education,
Yeah.
look at like different charts, like why did this run, why did this fail, you know, your basic kind of education,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
And it was extremely helpful.
And then you had what position was it in Atlas? It was moderator or
I was actually promoted from moderator to professional.
oh,
So the rank structure at the end went at the top was the handsome executives, so that was PJ, Ripster, um, Chart Wars, and Zach Morris.
mhm.
And then right under that was the professionals, so that was I was in there. Bobby Steels was in there. Ricky Bobby. Who else off the top of my head? There was a few others, but
Mhm.
they were in that subset there. So eventually I made it up to there, and I don't know, like to be completely honest, there were some days like I felt like a total buffoon, like with my trading, and I didn't deserve any roles, and then um, some days where I felt like, okay, maybe I actually deserve this.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Definitely. I think we all have up and down days. Some days I feel like, how did I ever pass grade school math? But
Exactly.
yeah, so no, that I understand completely. And for for those who aren't familiar, how do you get to be promoted from a regular member to a moderator and then to a tier of being someone that the group considers can be a sort of leader to help newer traders? How does that process work?
So I'll kind of explain this the way I got promoted the
Mm-hmm.
first time. It was in late 2018, I believe, or early 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I had really started focusing in on. I was trading Gush a lot, Gush and Drip, the ETFs,
Mm-hmm.
and I would follow the oil data every week, the EIA data that comes out on Wednesdays,
Mm-hmm.
and I would follow this like a hawk, very intently. And PJ recognized me for my knowledge in that field and being like the go-to person in the group. Although it was a really small group, right?
Yeah.
I was the go-to person for oil and energies,
Which
and
can
so
be so
he
helpful, right?
exactly.
Yeah, in a trading group to have people who have all their different strengths. So that definitely makes sense and sounds like it would have been very helpful. Go ahead. Go
So
ahead.
I like to think he didn't specifically say um, you're an expert in this, but I like to think that he saw something in me that I mean I was just trying to be informative, and he saw that in me and just thought this guy, I'll give him a chance. This guy, he's pretty knowledgeable. He's learned a lot over the last half year.
Hmm.
I'll give him a chance, and that's how I like to think I got promoted to the first tier, um, above just being a regular member. Now,
Right.
in the last little while, um, I have being at the level I was, the second from the top. I would discuss um, with some of the other key people in there, like for instance Sam,
Hmm.
just Sam. Um, I believe you know her,
Yeah, I do. Uh huh.
and we would discuss about like um, For instance, we felt like the large cap section was lacking. And
Mm-hmm.
at the time, I was running the futures room. It's something I grew from basically nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to recognize one of the people in the futures room as being a large cap leader, Mike B. So I put it to Sam and a few other people, just saying, hey, I think Mike B. I think he's a real leader, at least in the futures room. I don't know if he really participates in large caps,
Mm-hmm.
like options and all that, but he definitely is a leader in the futures room, and I want to recognize him. What do you guys think?
Mm-hmm.
So I'd get feedback, and then eventually I promoted him because I think he was really good. I think he really contributed to the feel of that room.
Mm-hmm. So promotions were really a group decision.
Uh, I like to think that they were a group decision. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
the way I executed any of these promotions that I would personally do, it would be a group decision.
Mm-hmm.
I would ask other people, what do you think about this person? Or what do you think about this person? I wouldn't just unilaterally go and do it. The other thing, too, is just because I was a professional and I was at the top of the room, and I was there for 5 years basically. I never once thought that Atlas was mine. It was all PJ's.
Right.
Anything that I wanted to do, I would actually ask PJ.
Mm-hmm. And
Uh,
did you ever kind of question why some people were promoted that maybe you didn't? I know you mentioned that one gentleman that, you know, you saw a lot of a lot of talent or
Potential, yeah,
skill, and yeah,
yeah.
did you ever feel that there were people being put in leadership positions that possibly you didn't understand why they were in that position?
Yeah, absolutely. Um, and nothing against this individual either. Uh, Tom Cooperman,
Mm-hmm.
Tommy Coops.
Mm-hmm.
I I remember seeing his interview with Dan and Hugh. I used to listen to PJR quite a bit. It was entertaining, and I mean, I at the time I was trading futures. I didn't really have an interest in pennies at all. I nothing. I shouldn't say I didn't learn anything from it. I did learn some things.
Mm-hmm.
It was a little like supplementing my knowledge a little bit.
Right.
Um, but they did some. They used to have interviews with like different CEOs and different
Mm-hmm.
personalities. And I remember when they interviewed Tommy and his partner in Breathe Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, okay, here's two guys. They were shut out by the pandemic. They just started trading. Great, it seemed like a feel good story, right?
Right.
But then Tommy got a promotion all the way to no, what was the orange rank? I think it was an elevated rank.
Mm-hmm.
And just seeing this interview and then realizing, okay, this guy's going to be a leader in Atlas, it didn't sit well with me.
Mm-hmm. And did you bring up your concerns to any of the admins of the group?
No, and I look, I don't like rocking the boat.
Of course.
I mean, it's not my server. If it was my server, personally, I wouldn't have done something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it was PJ server. PJ must have saw something. Like I felt like PJ must have saw something in Tommy that warranted Tommy having that particular role.
Mm-hmm. And
And I didn't want to question PJ because it. I mean, again, it's his server.
right.
I have that sort of respect with him.
Yeah, of course. You feel like it wasn't your place.
Exactly.
Yeah. And through your time there, did any of the members come to you with any concerns about what was going on, particularly, you know, in small caps? It sounds like you were more with, you know, futures and large caps, but did
Yep.
any users come with concerns to you about what was going on?
Two. I, to my knowledge, like off the top of my head, I don't think so.
Okay.
Um, Mainly because I did have moderator powers as well. I was a moderator there for quite a number of years.
Mm-hmm.
I'd have people come to me saying, "Oh, I got muted. Can you help me out with this?" Um, just basic admin kind of things, run of the mill admin things,
Mm-hmm.
and I try and help everybody. I try to give everybody a fair shake too. So
Yeah. And when you were in either the position of moderator or professional, did you guys have your kind of like own group, kind of like how administrators do, where where you guys are able to kind of discuss amongst yourself? And did any of the other people that you were with, did they ever speak of any concerns about what was going on?
so we did have a moderator forum,
Uh huh.
and we would talk about it mainly was like strictly business.
Yeah.
So we talk about like um, uh, you know member XYZ said this. What do you think about like moderation action about this? Or we discuss things like the slowdown function in different sections of the server, uh, raids, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't really talk about like non non work. As weird as that sounds, non-work topics. I
Mm-hmm.
think I might have posted the time that I made pasta, but
uh,
and then sorry, there was I was gonna elaborate on there was another forum. It was for admins, and that didn't have a lot of discussion in it.
mm-hmm.
And it wasn't anything like it was mainly restricted to people who had the orange row. Again, I can't remember. They were one level under the professional role, so under me,
Mm-hmm.
and then professionals and PJ and all that.
Okay.
Um, and I don't recall seeing any concerns being brought up about certain individuals or certain trades or anything like that.
Okay. And as a moderator, uh, were you ever told to ban or mute members if they were to accuse the group of pumping or anything like that? Was that one of the things you were told to ban or mute people for?
Nope.
Okay.
No, no. And I mean, I thought it was kind of poor form, but um, almost like a child calling another child in the playground like stupid or something like that.
Yeah.
Just a regular insult. I thought it was poor form, but I didn't think it was really a bannable offense.
Got it. And did you did you yourself ever have any concerns or suspicions about what was going on with the group, of any of the guys, like what they were doing?
Yes and no.
Okay.
I did think some and maybe this is me being a little having colored glasses on too with
Mm-hmm.
this. Um, One of the reasons I left trading small caps is nothing seemed to work for me, right? And maybe at the time I was thinking, man, these are all pump and dumps. Nothing's working out for me. I'm gonna go try futures, and I started trading oil, and that seemed to work.
Mm-hmm.
So looking back at that, was I being pumped, like being the victim of a pump and dump? I don't know, right?
Mm-hmm.
Back in late 2018, early 2019. Um, did I think it was going on in the room? I mean, I had suspicions, but I didn't have anything like hard evidence. I couldn't say, yes, Zach is doing this. Yes, PJ is doing this. I mean, it's kind of like when you look at your local politician, are
Yeah.
they really corrupt? You
Hmm.
have that suspicion, but you don't have any proof.
Was there anything in particular that kind of sparked you to have those suspicions? Like, was there a change in behavior or anything like that?
Not necessarily the change in behavior. I mean, um, the the wish play that is mentioned in the SEC complaint and the
Mm-hmm.
DOJ complaint,
Mm-hmm.
that did seem very, very suspect. For instance, I remember they were they were promoting Wish,
Mm-hmm.
and then it was both on the podcast and I'd see people posting about Wish. Oh, it's a great play, blah blah blah, right? And then I remember the day that the Wish earnings came out, and it's like, wow, just they're terrible. Like
Mm-hmm.
this company isn't making any money. Why is everybody saying this thing's like the next Amazon? Like it had terrible earnings. You read the filing and it's like, oh, wow. Like I
Yeah.
don't know what to say, right?
Yeah. So it was to you that just looked it looked more or less like some like a very questionable call out. Like what is it
Is
that you guys are seeing
especially
here?
especially after the earnings came out. Like yeah, hindsight's 2020,
Of
right?
course.
But that earnings that came out just showing that yeah, they're not making any money, they're losing money. This thing isn't like worth the valuation it has.
Mm-hmm.
That really kind of like clued in like this could like this is not a good play. Like I don't know why they're pumping this play. Like
Yeah.
I shouldn't say pumping, like
Promoting.
promoting the play. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
thank you.
Okay, so you were that was kind of more your stance, not necessarily having that clear thought that this is a clear pump and dump. That's the only possible explanation. Yours was more like, what on earth is it that you guys are seeing here? Why are you posting all about this?
Exactly. And
Okay.
and and for traders who know me, they know like I really like fundamental data. I like for instance, I mentioned the EIA report that comes out on Wednesdays. I'll actually go through and I'll read like all
Mm-hmm.
the tables in the energy report the petroleum report every single week, and I'll
Mm-hmm.
see like, oh, Canada's exporting so much. Oh, the strategic petroleum reserve is down like another 3%. Stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that, and I'll do this with like grains reports, stuff like that, because I find it really useful for me when I'm trading soybean oil or iron
Of
ore
course.
or whatever it is, right? So I really look at the data and try and figure out like what are other people seeing, and I just didn't see it with Wish.
Yeah. No, and that makes sense, and I think that that brings up another good point that I really wanted to bring out, and I thank you so much for you're the first, um, I don't want to say admin because not an admin of Atlas, but a promoted member of Atlas that has been willing to kind of sit down one on one and talk. I know that a few of the members had tried speaking out publicly, saying, look, not all of us were in on this. We didn't know what was going on, and they got attacked for it. And I really didn't think that that was fair. And I really appreciate you coming on and explaining your own point of view of things that, maybe did look a little suspect, but it's not like every single promoted or colored name was all working together with the same group of guys. So I really thank you for being brave and coming on to talk to me.
Um, I just want to mention too, like I've seen a lot in like for instance on Twitter Spaces.
Uh huh.
A lot of people just think like, oh yeah, Atlas was 258,000 people. Everybody was in on the scheme. That's not true.
Mm hmm.
I mean, if everybody was in on the scheme, there'd be 258,000 people locked up worldwide. I'm up in Canada. I'd have the RCMP at my door.
Mm hmm.
arresting me. Yeah, I know people in the UK and like mainland Europe, they'd have their local authorities arresting those individuals too. If that was true,
Mm-hmm.
it's I think it's a very small subset of in the individuals in Atlas too,
Mm-hmm.
um, that that may have, you know, further action too. I honestly don't think this thing is over either.
Yeah, that was my gonna be my next question is do you think from your own perspective that there were likely others in Atlas involved that have yet to be um, discussed legally, publicly by the DOJ or SEC?
I think some people possibly by association,
Mm-hmm.
um, to some of these individuals like uh, Gary Deal and Dan Knight. Um, I think there's others. There was a Twitter thread mentioning the amount of times people have posted on the lock floor. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was on the list. I only posted 6 times in a year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and there were a few other people, but there's a few people in there on that list that have posted several hundred or even thousands of times that haven't been named
Mm-hmm.
in any criminal investigations or SEC investigations. So, I mean, it's a possibility.
Right.
Um, but I honestly think that this thing is not over.
Yeah. No, I agree with you as well, definitely. Um, is there is there anything that I guess you would like to say about your own experience or even your experience afterward with so many people knowing that you were a professional in Atlas, kind of speaking for the other people that you know of that were decent, genuine people like yourself who were there to help people and not a part of this? Is there any kind of message you would like to say to everyone listening?
Well, there's a few things I want to say. First off, I really liked Atlas. It
Mm-hmm.
was, I mean, it's funny, you know, I've been drinking coffee this entire time out of my Atlas trading mug that I bought in early 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Like I I'm even at the time I was kind of frugal with my money, and you know, I'm not gonna just go buy a mug if I didn't believe, like not necessarily believe, but like the product and all that. And I thought, okay, well, I like Atlas. I'm in Atlas. I'm gonna buy this mug. You know, I'll spend $35 on a mug. You know, shipping included and all that. And I still have it. It's right next to me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I really liked Atlas back then, and I like Atlas the way, not necessarily the amount it grew, but just how there were so many interesting people that would just come along.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the futures people. I remember I met a guy from Australia, and we did portfolio analysis for his economics class, or maybe it was a finance class, and I did a ASX S&P 20 uh, or yeah, ASX 20 portfolio analysis for him and building a portfolio for his class. I thought that was really cool,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, Helping people out on the other side of the planet with you know, problems like, you know, like that, right? I thought
Yeah.
it was really like the place to go on the internet to connect with other people and other style of traders,
Mm-hmm.
right? And now that it's gone, I mean, I miss it.
Yeah.
I really do. And to my point earlier about like helping people find new communities to go join, I mean, if for me, I don't think I can learn a lot more. And this isn't an insult against anyone, but I mean, I think I've become quite the futures educator. I've
Mm-hmm.
traded multiple markets all over the world: Japan, the Swiss market, the London market, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I am quite the wealth of knowledge. At least people tell me that. I think I still have tons more to learn.
Mm-hmm.
There's always more to learn, right?
Of course, I don't think you can ever know everything with the stock
Exactly,
market.
exactly. So if I like for me, if I didn't join another trading room or another group of traders, it's not the end of the world for me
Yeah.
because like I have my craft and I'm fairly well at it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But for someone starting out, maybe they joined Atlas 3 weeks before everything imploded.
Mm-hmm.
I really feel sorry for people like that didn't have the chance at education and networking that I had.
Yeah. And I think that we have started seeing some subgroups popping up, and I think that there will continue to be more. I think that everyone's just trying to be much more careful about who they let in and what type of posting is allowed.
Well, you say subgroups, and I think
Hmm.
it's more almost like splinter
Yeah,
groups.
splinter groups. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, what I'd honestly like to see, and maybe it's something I have to work on here in 2023, um, talking with the other former elevated people of Atlas,
Hmm.
and creating almost something like an Atlas 2.0,
Hmm.
but with um, more transparency,
Yeah.
if anything.
Hmm.
And by transparency, I'm gonna tell you a quick story. Um, One of the things that I was doing for almost 10 months, um, and I didn't see it from anyone else, and not to brag or anything either, but we had a profits room in Atlas, and
Hmm.
I posted every like at the end. I trade with Interactive Brokers,
Hmm.
and you can generate reports at the end of the day.
Hmm.
And I would generate a report every day, and I would post even if I didn't trade, and I'd post. It would show all my open fills or open positions. It would show what the price, the mark to market price was, my entry position. It would show all my fills and the timestamps from everything I traded. So if I went and traded iron ore in Singapore, it would show those.
Hmm.
It would show if I made money or lost, and I was totally transparent with everything. And I think if if you're someone looking to create a room, right, I think that sort of integrity is kind of key, especially after what happened in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And if it was me going to try and bring everybody back together and create some sort of Atlas 2.0, I would like, I would like and almost expect that sort of transparency and ethics from everybody who wants to be a part of that project, that that wants to be a leader. And I think something like that, and also being an educator too, someone like a Ripster or a Sam, just
Hmm.
Sam. um, I think that shows real leadership too.
Yeah, I think that there's been a lot of speculation, though, around Ripster in particular, about how much involvement he had with the group, which, I mean, I can't speak to because I don't know, but I know that Sam,
I've heard the same.
yeah, and I know Sam is incredible. She's her wealth of knowledge is amazing, but would you in this hypothetical new group, would you be concerned about letting someone in that has so much speculation and association with that group, or do you think that maybe there's a lot of misunderstanding here that just needs to get ironed out?
Well, I think that all the elevated people in Atlas, well, it doesn't really matter what role you had. Um, I think the public perception is that we're all tainted
Mhm.
and we all have some sort of level of
Conspiracy.
dirt on us,
Yeah.
you know,
Mhm.
whether it's true or not.
Mhm.
And I think it would really have to be uh, for someone to be like a leader, like the public face. It would have to be someone who's, you know, has ethics, has at least within the community, be recognized as this person has like a high degree of scruples.
Mhm. Yeah.
Now, to your question of letting people in who may be compromised or may have done illegal things in the past or suspected of, I think it really would have to be a case by case basis. And
Mhm.
whether that person becomes a leader because maybe in another chat they have an elevated role, maybe they own another chat, that that would really have to be a case by case basis.
Mhm. No, that makes sense. And I know you said you had a few things you wanted to say, and I didn't mean to cut you off from that. So if there's more you would like to share, I'd like to go ahead and give you the space to do so.
Um, I'm just gonna say let's call them the Atlas Eight,
Okay.
Gary and Dan and Edward. And
Mhm.
I'm a firm believer in innocent till proven guilty,
Absolutely.
and I really hope that I really want to believe that they didn't do anything wrong,
Mhm.
especially PJ Perry.
Yeah.
Um, he really helped me, and he really saw something in me. Um, that that it really inspired confidence in myself. And I think without PJ, I wouldn't be. I don't think I'd be trading, to be completely honest, and I don't think I'd be at the level I am.
Mhm. And
So
that's a wonderful message. I'm sorry. Go ahead and continue.
I was gonna say I really want for what he did for me and seeing something in me all those years ago.
Mhm.
At the same time, if what the U.S. government, the Department of Justice, and the SEC, uh, if what they allege is true, I'm disappointed in all of them, and probably the most PJ.
Mhm.
It's it might sound silly, it might sound like very sappy, but I did look up to him,
Mhm.
and it's 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 disappointing.
Yeah. No, absolutely, and I agree with you. It's innocent until proven guilty. That's specifically why I am sticking to not speculation, just providing factual information that is released, and I want to make sure that you and any others who are looking to share their experience can have a place to do so. Um, to just be able to get your guys' stories out. I specifically I'm in another Discord with you, and I see
Hmm.
your economic events posts every day, and I love them. They are
Thank you.
so they are so much better than me having to pull up the economic calendar. And I know another trader who has spoken so highly of you, and she said that you were a beast at futures trading. So I would love to actually have you back on a separate episode to talk about trading.
I'd love to.
Okay.
How many hours?
Huh? No, we
It's
can.
funny. It's funny because I was talking about futures trading with another guy, and the other night, and I thought, okay, yeah, we'll talk for like 30 minutes, and then it was 7 a.m. Mountain Time, and I'm like, I need to sleep. We've been talking for 4 hours,
is
so we
isn't that amazing how that
I
happens?
know I could talk about like we could go on for forever about like different things too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I'll definitely have to have you on for a future episode to go through all of that. And
I'd love to.
again, I just want to thank you so much for coming on and talking with me. And I think that your message was right. And even like you said, innocent until proven guilty. And even if the allegations do prove to be true, I think that you are not the only one that got help and value in what Atlas was originally created for. And I think that that's a good point to stress that, not everyone is bad. And we don't know the full story of what happened yet, but that you yourself were able to get value in that. I think that's great.
I just want to say one last thing to
Yeah.
like the everyday trader too. Like if you find a great community and you find great value in it, when you do become a better trader, I've heard it from other traders, specifically Bob Iacchino from the CME,
Mm-hmm.
the big S&P trader there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've heard in interviews like when he was starting out back on the floor of the CME, he blew up two accounts and he had another trader loan him $25,000 so he could try again.
Mm-hmm.
And that trader, old Jewish trader, he said, he's a really big firm believer in karma, and if you do good things will reciprocate on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So if you find yourself in a position where you start out, you get all this great information, you learn a whole ton, you become successful. I think it really behooves yourself to go out and pass that along to the next generation of traders. It not only does it make you feel great, it's really the right thing to do.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you so much. And like I said, you are welcome back on anytime, and hopefully we'll schedule
I'd
another
love to.
episode soon. All right, awesome. All right, so happy New Year, and I will talk to you again soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, bye bye.
Bye.
Want more Trader Babes? Subscribe now and connect with us on social media for exclusive content and access you won't find anywhere else. And we'll see you right here on the next unforgettable episode of Trader Babes.